Thank you. I just wanted to echo Representative Cutler and Emmerich's concerns on the deer herd. I've been hunting for quite a few years and definitely have seen a decline in our area. I think there was an overpopulation problem, obviously, at one point, but still have some concerns in that regard. The other, in your testimony, you had stated about an increase in license fees. Last week we had the Fish and Boat Commission testify, and they had stated that since they increased their fees, they had seen an 8 to 10% reduction in license sales. I would be very hesitant to encourage any kind of increase in fees. I know myself, I generally buy a hunting license every year. I think the last 2 years I have not had time, obviously, to get out. But I make that investment and buy a license because I kind of do my part. I'm not a very good hunter anyway. I generally just take the gun for a walk in the woods. There'd be a lot of deer if I was the only guy out there. But it's something that I enjoy, and it's a tradition that I generally do. So I would be very hesitant on encouraging any kind of increase in licensing fees, because I think, what is the analysis on, is there a study that's going to be done before that fee would go into effect, if there would be one, as to what kind of decrease in sales you would see?
Well, again, you could look in the past, but we've only had 2 increases since 1983, so it's hard to draw an analysis. A lot of it's driven by the economics at the time. But again, I visit lots of sportsmen's groups, and yeah, we hear about deer, but everyone even complains a little bit about deer is still willing to spend an extra $5, $10, $15 for a license. They understand the need long term to manage wildlife is going to cost. And I often use the expression, I don't know, we operate as a business. We estimate our revenues for the year, and we make adjustments throughout the year based upon the revenues that come in, because we don't get an appropriation. So if hunting license sales are down, we make the adjustment. If timber revenue is down like it's been for the last 5 years, it dropped from $14 million a year to $5 million a year, we make adjustments in the execution of that budget. So I go back, and I don't know many businesses who were around in 1999 are still operating with the same fees that they charge for services.
Well, I would say that it's generally the market drives the price. But my other
in a free market environment, but this is a very controlled market environment, because the fees can't change until you change them.
Well, I still would express my concern of increasing fees. I guess my other concern was with the money that's being taken right now from the Marcellus shale development.
Sure.
And that increase in revenue, and obviously that could continue to expand. If that money would more than offset any kind of increase in licensing fees.
Well, that's a great question. In reality, it's basically allow us to kind of stay level. As I mentioned, the drop in revenues from our wildlife cuts went from $15 million down to $5 million in about 2 years. So that's a $10 million shortfall in budget coming in. So Marcellus shale activities help fill that. And I would also offer in the license package that was put together in 2006, it basically came to about between $17 and $18 million increase in revenue for the license fees. So although we got $18 million last year on Marcellus shale, I look at it as still a $90 million deficit of possible revenue that would have come in since 2006 that we don't have. So we're still playing catch up. All those we talked about the management increases. All the labor increases have continued to happen. All the costs of vehicles have gone up. Costs of employees have gone up, and yet our revenue streams have been pretty flat until just last year, as a matter of fact.
With obviously looking for efficiencies inside of every agency is something that's key. The private sector does it. Government has been doing it. One of the things that brought to my attention, and Representative Cutler had touched on a little bit, was the operating of the nurseries, competing directly against private industry in farmers that could grow these products for profit on their own. And I guess looking at the cost analysis, why government wants to compete against private sector. I mean, most of these trees, are they just being used for in-house, or are they also being distributed to the public through sales and such?
Both. Primarily in-house, but we also offer sales to the general public, and also to oil, gas, mineral operators. When they have a surface operation, they want to plant trees, and our trees come out very healthy and very successful. So some of them come to us. I mentioned before our seedlings in the school program. We distributed, I believe it was around 160-some thousand seedlings to schools last year, to about 780 schools for that program, again, to get youth to connect with wildlife. We'll do the cost analysis, see if it's beneficial or not to get it from the general public. But other issues we concern about in that aspect is invasive species. We know what's in our Howard nursery. We know what's being taken out. We don't know what's mixed up into the soil otherwise. We certainly know that. And the specific species that we want. Can we create that market out there? And is it a viable market that we can depend upon?
I would just say, as far as the private industries, gas companies that are purchasing trees, I would think that they would be good customers for our local nurseries, which are paying taxes and providing sustainable jobs in our areas. I would definitely encourage that whatever savings could be made by purchasing those from the private sector. I think could definitely be a way. I hear stories all the time of businesses that come to my office and talk to me about competing with government, whether it be for the sale of trees, whether it be for other services, rental properties, or anything else. I mean, they're paying all the taxes and bearing that burden, and yet they're competing with their own fees through licenses. So I would really encourage continue to look at that and see if it's something that really the Game Commission needs to be in. And going back to the Arbor Day every year, for when I was in school, we got a tree every year in Arbor Day, and there's one that I got that's still living. It's about maybe 18 foot high right now. So there's a lot of trees to get that one. Thank you. That's all I have.